Registering for a copyright might not feel like a high priority because you're the creator of your own artwork. But today I'm going to share with you why it's crucial and how easy the application process can be. Registering for a visual arts copyright can protect your artwork from people who would gladly use it for their own purposes. And if that threat feels far-fetched, then this video is for you. So before we get started, I'm not a lawyer or a copyright expert. I'm an artist and a business owner. And much of the information that I'm sharing with you today is based off of my own experiences. So if you have specific questions about your situation pertaining to copyrights, I can't answer them, but I'm going to provide a link to resources provided by the Copyright Office in the comments below. So let's get into it. How can your art be stolen, and what is the risk of not getting a copyright? Let's take it a few examples of a few ways that art can be stolen, although it extends beyond what we're going to cover today. The first is the temptation of mass appeal art. It's generally appealing art that can be applied to a variety of different money-making opportunities, including print-on-demand products. So people who have print-on-demand businesses are commonly looking for graphics and art to apply to products that they can sell. So your art could be stolen or purchased if you're selling your art digitally and then illegally applied to products, or professionally printed and then sold. So here's a real life example. Someone took images from a children's book and then converted them to a digital format and then was selling those pictures online as wall art, wall decor for classrooms, for baby rooms, things like that. So you get the idea. The second way that your art could be stolen is if you're selling your art as a digital download and you appear to be successful, people might purchase your art and then turn around and sell your art on their own shop or website. So of course, in this situation, it takes more than a copyright to help protect you. The third way is that some people might make a copycat shop or website of yours, basically duplicate everything that's on your website, including your listings, your graphics, reviews, and they'll use this to make to appear to be a functioning business, and they'll pretend to sell your art or products with no intention of actually providing a product to the customer. And then over time, this can have an impact of not only your sales, but also your reputation too. So these are just a few of the ways that your art could be stolen or sold without your consent. We're not going to be able to touch on every single example that's out there, but if you have an example of a way that art was stolen or an experience that you have, share that in the comments so that we can learn from each other. Now, this topic taps into a much bigger conversation on security that extends far beyond copyright protection. Having said that, getting a copyright can be a game changer, and we're going to cover a few of the advantages of copyright protection. One of the first advantages is when you get a copyright, you are legally recognized as the owner of your art. So when you register for your copyright, it's published in the Copyrights Office catalog, which is accessible and searchable to the public. This means that if ownership of your artwork is disputed, your copyright will provide proof of your ownership and will relieve you of associated legal burdens. Because the second advantage to having a copyright is if you don't, someone else could. While it's true that you automatically have rights to the artwork that you create, it's also true that creating your art is not always enough to protect it from being used, stolen, or claimed by someone else. Getting a copyright prevents someone else from successfully submitting a copyright registration, claiming your artwork as their own. I can't speak for how often this happens, but it's something to be aware of as you consider whether or not getting a copyright makes sense for your situation. The third advantage of getting a copyright is if your art is stolen and sold on marketplaces like Etsy, for example, your copyright can help you to get that person's shop closed and removed from the Etsy platform permanently. The final advantage that we're going to cover today is if you choose to pursue litigation because someone has stolen your art, the copyright will play a significant role in your case and will make a major difference in potential compensation for damages and for attorney's fees. It can also determine whether or not a lawyer will even work with you or if you even have a case that could be taken to court. All right, so how do you register for a copyright? This is what we're going to cover now in this section. So we're at copyright.gov/registration. You can see that here. You're going to want to go to that website, and the registration portal that we're going to walk through, it performs best when you're using the browser Mozilla Firefox. So that's what I'm using here, and that's what they recommend. So here we are on their homepage for their copyright registration. And we're going to scroll down, and then you can see the types of copyrights that you can apply for. I'm going to select visual arts, so I'll click on learn more. And then it brings us to this page, which is all about the visual arts copyright. And you can see here that they have tutorials available to walk you through the registration process for the copyright. And there's different videos that cover whether you're registering a published work versus registering an unpublished work. For us today, we are going to be registering some unpublished works. So I am already familiar with this process, so I'm not going to go through the tutorials here, and I'm going to go straight to register a visual arts work. All right, now I'm about to enter into the registration portal, and my login information is already pre-populated. So I'm just going to hit login on the portal homepage, and you can see that there's a list in the center of the screen that shows open copyright registrations that are in the process of that are being processed. And over here to the left-hand side, we can see some options for different applications that we can open and begin. And the one that I'm going to select here is register a group of unpublished works. Here's some general information on eligibility and some steps here towards the lower half here that let you know that you're going to need to complete these steps. So be ready to pay your fee, be ready to upload digital copies of your work, and to provide all the information on the application. I'm going to select Start Registration. On this screen, you can see this is kind of a table of contents for the registration process. And we're on the first step, which is to select the type of work that we're registering for. And by selecting this arrow here, you'll see a drop down, and the type of work that I'm submitting a copyright registration for is a work of visual arts. So I'll select that. And this is, you read through all of this information and then select this box and click continue. Before I select continue, though, I want to point out some of the information that they provide here. There's a couple of things, best practices, and just a heads up before you go any further into the application. The first one that they point out is for each application, the artwork that you're registering needs to be similar. So it says you can't use one copyright registration to do drawings and sculptures and photos. When you're registering unpublished, a group of works of art, it all needs to be paintings or drawings, things of that nature, or all sculptures or all photos, like items. You're going to want to be submitting a group of works that are all of the same type, basically. And another thing that they point out is that this artwork needs to be created by the same author or same authors throughout the entire application. And then there's some other best practices that are listed throughout here, including how you name the PDFs that you're going to be uploading copies of your artwork. You'll be uploading it in PDF file format, and then the way you name it is important. And then also the fact that it's a separate PDF for each piece of artwork, that's also important. Now we're on the second step of the application process, and we're entering in titles for our artwork. I'm going to select new. I entered my title, and now I'm going to select save. And my title for my first artwork that I'm adding to the list of artwork here that's going to be included in the group for this copyright registration. That's the first one. And I'm just going to repeat that process another 9 times. Now that my titles are in, I'm going to hit continue. And we're moving on to the third step, which is completion. And here is the year that this art was completed. I created that this year, so I'm going to enter in 2021 and hit continue. Now on this step, we're going to be entering in the information for the author of the artwork. So I'm going to select new. And it takes me to this page here, and I'm going to enter in this information. And if you, the individual, will be owning the artwork, then you'll fill out that information. Or if an organization will be owning the copyright for this artwork, then you'll fill out the organization's information. At this step, we have an opportunity to provide information here for previously published material. So if the artwork that you're submitting here includes or contains material that has been previously published, or has material that is in the public domain, you can identify that here in this space. This doesn't apply to me, so I'm going to hit continue. At this stage of the process, we have an opportunity to provide contact information for a person and/or organization to be contacted regarding copyright management information or permission to use your work. This is what the public would see. This information is what the public would see as a way to contact you or to contact the person who's managing your artwork and managing inquiries from the public. At this step, we're able to provide information for who the Copyright Office should contact if they have questions. In this section, we're going to provide the name and address where the registration certificate should be mailed. In this section, we have the opportunity to identify if this registration that we're submitting needs to be expedited. If we have a request for them to process your registration in an expedited manner, this is the section that you would complete to let them know that. But for me, that's not something I need. So I'm just going to go ahead and click continue. In this section, we're certifying that the information we provided in this application is correct. And you're certifying that you're either the author or you are an owner of the artwork, or you are an authorized agent or a co-author. You're going to select one of these and then fill out your information here. And then these 2 boxes here are optional. And once you've done that, you can select continue. At this stage, you're going to review your application form. And to see the fee, which is provided over off to the side here, where it's $85 for the, publishing a group of unpublished artwork. We're publishing 10 pieces of artwork in this group, and that's the one-time fee for this copyright registration. So the information here looks correct to me, and I'm going to select checkout. And then at this point, you choose your payment methods, which is either a credit card or a deposit from your account or a change order. Once you select your payment method, then you'll see a screen that informs you that you're going to be leaving the registration portal and heading into another payment processing system. So you're just going to select that you understand that and hit OK. Once you've processed your payment, then you're returned to the registration portal, and you'll see this screen with this notice up above that says your payment has been successful, and to click the continue button to complete your registration. Now we're at one of the most important parts of the process. This is where we're going to upload the individual files for each of our artwork. That by selecting the green button here that says select files to upload. And then select the blue button that says start upload. And then that's the process. So I'm going to do that about 9 more times. So I have a complete set of the pieces of artwork that I'm going to upload. And also this is the time to notice that your PDF files need to be named exactly the same as the name that you submitted earlier when you were entering in the titles for your artwork. So that way they can match the PDF image to the titles listed on your application. Once everything is uploaded, then you're going to click this green button off to the right-hand side that says click here to complete your submission after uploading all files. And then you're taken to this page, and this yellow box here says claim submission completed, no further action required. So you're good to go. Your registration is complete. There are tutorials available on the Copyright Office page, as we were looking at earlier, so you can watch those as well. There's just a plethora of information made available on the copyright website. So all of your questions, a lot of your questions can be answered, and I'll be linking to some of the most helpful resources in the comments so you can get right to that information. I just wanted to walk you through this registration process as a part of this video, because sometimes when we're doing something that we're unfamiliar with or that is new to us, we might think it's harder than sometimes it actually is. And this is one of those situations where the application process to actually do it is easier than we might think or than we might assume. So now you've had all the information that I can provide to you, and you've seen the registration process in action. And hopefully this helps you to determine whether registering for a copyright is the right thing for your situation. The pro tip for today is all about the optimal timing for registering your copyright. In general, the sooner you apply for your copyright, the better. To be eligible to receive statutory damages, attorney's fees, and costs when a copyright infringement occurs, you'll need to register your artwork within 3 months of publishing it or before you publish your artwork. So we're going to cover some common questions just to get to some of the things that you might be thinking about or wondering about. But in the comments, I'm going to link to resources provided by the Copyright Office so that you can look at it directly and find answers from them about questions that might pertain to your situation. So the first question that we're going to address here is, how much does it cost to file a copyright application? Well, for the copyright that we registered for today, which is a group of unpublished works, the fee was $85, and that covered up to 10 different works of art. The fees vary though. So in the comments, I'll put a link to a sheet that covers all of the Copyright Office fees, so you can see the type of application that you can choose and the fees that would go along with that. The second common question is, when is art considered published? This is a little trickier. In summary, in general, the short answer is when it's accessible to the public or made available for sale. But this is exactly what they put in the Copyright Basics Guide, which is provided by the Copyright Office. It reads, under copyright law, publication is the distribution of copies or phonorecords of a work to the public by sale or other transfer of ownership, or by rental, lease, or lending, offering to distribute copies or phonorecords to a group of people for purposes of further distribution, public performance, or public display also constitutes publication. So again, a link to this information, and there's more on that topic. I'll link to that in the comments. The third question is, how long does the copyright protection last? And in general, the short answer is, if the artwork was created on or after January 1st, 1978, then the copyright is good for the life of the author plus 70 years after their death. And in the Copyrights Basics Guide, you can find more information for how long a copyright lasts under different circumstances. And the fourth and final question pertains to submitting applications for unpublished art, which is, do you have to wait for your copyright registration to be approved before you can publish art? And the short answer is no. You don't have to wait to publish your art once you've submitted your copyright application, your registration, but you will need to wait for your registration to be approved before you could file a lawsuit for copyright infringement. Again, I'm not a lawyer or a copyright expert, so check out the comments below for a link to a guide called Copyright Basics provided by the Copyright Office. If you have experience with having your artwork stolen, or if you have tips on how to protect business assets, including artwork, share in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.